lots of ways into the U.S.-China conversation. I want to start with, one that I'm sure you've been asked before, which is, you say that in the opening of your book that there are no two peoples that are more alike than Americans and Chinese. I always thought it was Americans and Canadians, so you're going to have to explain that to me.
Well, I am Canadian, and plenty of us blend in very well with the U.S. And we've exported a lot of comedians over to the U.S. who...
That is true. Too many, some would say. Yes.
Not enough, others would say. So maybe the Americans need a little bit more comedy at this very moment. I think that Europeans and Japanese are very alike. There is a sense of coziness, comfort. There is a sense of perfectionism in these two big regions in which they are really good at making a lot of things really well, and everything is super pleasant. I think that Chinese and Americans are much more alike. There is a sense of hastiness with these two people. There's a sense of the technological sublime that really want to pursue these big engineering technological projects. There is a sense in which these are two great powers, and other countries like puny Canada is not, and that the US and China are the countries that are going to be changing the world. And when I'm in the US, when I'm in China, I feel like there is just this sense of entrepreneurial hustle. There's this hunger. There's people who want to make donuts in a way that the Europeans don't really have anymore. And so that, I think, is the big uniting feature between the Chinese and the Americans.
Look, as a kid that grew up in Boston, time to make the donuts really does resonate with me, right? But when I hear that people talk about China of late, especially the youth in China, I hear about laying flat. I don't hear about hustle. I hear about Chinese young people that are less entrepreneurial. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, but there is also a sense of the American kids who are quiet quitting. And so that is just yet another analog here. I'm speaking to you from San Francisco, where there are a lot of youths who have decided to quietly quit. But there is also a sense of entrepreneurial drive that you can see very visibly in Silicon Valley, that you would be able to see very visibly in China, that there are electric vehicle makers, there are still all sorts of consumer internet companies, there are still kids starting hedge funds, much in the same way that people from Boston might. And so I think that there is still quite a lot of entrepreneurial energy where people want to wake up and smell the donuts.
There's been a lot of private sector question mark in China over the past 15 years. To what extent it's okay to get rich, to what extent it's okay to be an individual entrepreneur and to be liked, even loved by Chinese society. The Jack Ma, out again, back again, but certainly not what he used to be when young kids would sometimes have his photo up in their rooms, like a rock star. How clear is it to an entrepreneur in China that the system actually wants them to succeed?
I think that there are deep uncertainties here. And can you imagine anything more terrifying than Xi Jinping's smothering love as he sometimes greets some of these entrepreneurs? I think that there is some uncertainty among a lot of entrepreneurs, whether they are going to be still able to pursue all of the activities that make them get up in the morning, or whether the Communist Party will decide to smash a lot of their businesses, as the Communist Party did in 2020 and 2021. I think there is going to be, a lingering sense that if the Chinese economy somehow vastly improves in some sort of a miraculous way, that Xi Jinping won't be up to his own tricks and really try to have smothering love or smack a lot of companies around just because he can. But here again, Ian, I promised this last time, I want to apply, some American equivalents to what's going on in China because, President Donald Trump has also treated a lot of tech entrepreneurs with smothering love. And I feel that Xi Jinping would be a little bit embarrassed and a little bit blushing if he had so many tech leaders organized around him over dinner, essentially singing his praises. And so, here's where, the Xi goes into the entrepreneurs and, gives them blessings upon the head. And that is something that Donald Trump is doing as well.
Well, the fundamental difference, of course, and I'm not suggesting that you're saying that one is better or worse, is that in the United States, that smothering love is actually coming with a lot of money from these technology companies that's meant to ensure that the regulatory environment, the tax environment is actually one that they get to write principally, that they get to determine their own regs. Life under the Chinese Communist Party is very, very different from that perspective.
There is no doubt. I think that if you are an elite in Beijing, your life is precarious in much more severe ways than if you're an elite in New York, Boston, DC, San Francisco, wherever else. That if you are an upper middle class, upper class person in Beijing, maybe you're working in something like finances, and Xi Jinping announces, as he does last year, that there's a salary cap in the financial sector such that people can't make more than $300,000 a year. And some who do make over that, then they have to give back some of their back pay. Entrepreneurs never know if Xi Jinping will smash one of their companies again, as he did with online tutoring, a lot of video games, cryptocurrencies, Jack Ma, you name it.